Hello and welcome to Performance Management with Miviva. This is episode number 5 in the series Smart Add-Ons That Make a Difference from Hire to Retire. I'm Joe Rotella from Delphia Consulting, and we are proud to be a Sage ISV partner and the creators of Miviva, a performance management solution that helps you connect your people, goals, and culture to results. Now, today's session is intentionally simple, mostly live demo, with just a few slides to anchor what you'll see. We're going to look at how Miviva works seamlessly with Sage HRMS to make performance management faster, more accurate, and actually meaningful. But Miviva connects with lots of different HRIS platforms. So if you're joining us today and don't currently use Sage HRMS, no worries, there's only one slide that talks about that integration. So as part of our series here, we're really talking about all the add-ons in the Sage HRMS ecosphere, from applicant tracking to onboarding, benefits management, time and attendance, payroll, employee and manager self-service, performance management, training management, analytics, alerts and workflow, and utilities. And today, our focus is all about performance management. Now, so I can get a feel where everybody in our audience is today, we're going to pop up a quick poll, and I'd like for you to describe your current review process. And there's only a few choices here. You have to pick one of them. So just give me an idea, for the most part. I know you could have a kind of a hybrid mix, but for the most part, how would you describe your current review process? Would you say it's automated, it's data-driven, autopilot, I can sit back and just watch all the reviews flow in? Would you say, oh, well, it's mostly manual, but at least we're consistent? Or, oh my gosh, I am in spreadsheet chaos. I think I know at least one answer out there. I'm not going to say who sent me their forms, but they really made me smile yesterday because they said, don't judge. Okay, no, I'm not judging. And, you know, hey, we don't even really have a review process. So I'm going to give you just a couple more seconds to let me know, where are you today? Is it automated and very much data-driven, really, really easy to do? Manual and consistent, but you're doing all the work by hand? Spreadsheet, Word doc, Google Docs, I can't think of all the other kind of docs. Madness, a little bit chaos, or you don't even have a process. So about half of you have voted. I'm going to give you just a couple more seconds to see if we can't get a little bit over half, so that I can get an idea of where are you today? How would you describe your current review process? Oh, Maria, I'm sorry, they don't let you choose two here on GoTo. You have to pick one. So you have to lean. Which way, Maria? Which way's the most? What's mostly happening down in Texas? Oh, I think Maria must have just toppled our scales over to 51%. Okie doke. I think we're going to close out this poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's see what everybody's results are. It looks like about 40% of you, which is great, are automated and data-driven. About a fifth of you, it's manual, but we're consistent. Another fifth said, hey, it's spreadsheet chaos. And then another fifth said, oh, we really don't even have one. So I really appreciate you sharing that with me today. So let's have a little bit of a reality check here. Those poll results probably make more sense when you see this. The traditional review process really isn't working anymore. 91% of organizations still use a traditional review process, and that typically is set your goals in the beginning of the year, January-ish, do a mid-year review, June-ish, and then your end of the year review. And you're going to want to be sure to get the handout today, because every place you see those little underlines, those are links. And anytime I give statistics, I like to give you a link right to where the source where that statistic came from. The one that really shocks me and really upsets me is from Gallup. Only 14% of employees say that reviews inspire them to improve. That means for 86% of our employees, the review process is just checking off an item on a box. You know, we're going through the process. We're spending about $5.5 billion a year to do reviews, but we're not actually inspiring anyone to improve. Meanwhile, we know that engaged employees can drive 21% higher profitability. And we know that having an effective review process where employees really feel engaged, feel they're participating, they're inspired to improve, that drives engagement. So only 14% are actually inspired to improve. And we know that if people are engaged, they're 21% higher profitability for the organization. So this just isn't working. The good news is it's fixable, and the fix doesn't start with forms. It starts with continuous conversations, clear goals, and simple tools that really tie all this together. And that's what miviva does. So let's have one more notion here about why this is a problem. These are surveys that really just focused on the C-suite. 90% of HR leaders believe their current process doesn't produce accurate information. 90%. That means only 10% of your C-suite actually believes the performance review process you have in place is giving them accurate data. And 79% of executives say redesigning performance management is a top priority. That comes from Deloitte. So even the C-suite understands what we're doing today, for the most part, 91% isn't working, and 79% of them want to change it. Let's be honest here, for most organizations, performance management has become an exercise in paperwork. Managers chase signatures and dates instead of having conversations. Employees treat reviews as a once a year, maybe twice a year event, not really a chance to grow. And HR, they're really caught in the middle. They're busy reminding managers, did you do it? You did it, did do it? I'm trying to find it. Why didn't you do it? Ralph didn't do his. Ralph never does his on time. I hate Ralph. You're running reports to try to figure out who's done, who's not done. You're reconciling spreadsheets, and you're trying to make sense of some really inconsistent data. The result is compliance without clarity, lots of effort and little impact. miviva turns that around by automating the busy work so HR can focus on strategies and managers can focus on coaching and employees can focus on results. So I just have 2 more slides, and then we're just going to do the whole rest is going to be show and tell. I'm going to turn off my camera. The difference between traditional and modern performance management, and I'm really talking about management here, not reviewing performance, managing performance, really comes down to this shift from being reactive to being proactive. Reactive organizations look backward. It's rear view mirror. You're filling out forms, you're checking boxes, and you're talking about stuff that's already happened. And the whole focus of your conversation is everything that's already happened. Proactive organizations are looking forward. It's a windshield view. They focus on behaviors, conversations, and small course corrections that improve results all year long. And the performance review form itself is really an artifact of this whole process. So in the reactive mode, the performance review form is the end all and be all. It's why you're doing the whole thing. And so you have a form, you have documentation, you check it off, you did it. Everybody supposedly feels good, but we know that's not the case. Proactive says, yes, we're still going to have a form. We want that documentation. We want that history, but we're really always trying to pay more attention to what's coming down the pike. You're trying to change the outcome of the game, right? Coaches coach during the game because they want to impact the end result. They want to win. They're in there in the moment. That's what proactive performance management is all about. So why miviva? Well, miviva's cloud-based. There's nothing to install. There's nothing to patch. It lives where your people already work, in their browser, in the tablet, on their phone, and it grows constantly. It's hosted on AWS, so you get the same enterprise-grade security and availability as everything else we're used to in that space. It's integrated with Sage HRMS and a whole bunch of other HR systems via an API. It supports 249 languages and dialects. So I could write up a whole one-on-one in English, and my employee who might have French as their primary language could switch it to French and see everything going on in French. No worries at all. We have new features released every few weeks because we follow an agile development methodology, and it's backed by Delphia Consulting. It's a trusted Sage ASV partner for over 20 years. Performance management happens in the spaces between reviews. So the heartbeat is a steady one-on-one cadence with a shared agenda and action items that roll forward until they're complete. It's about leaving feedback in the moment, feedback tied to a goal, feedback tied to a one-on-one topic, And that feedback flows right into a performance review form. And your goals, the big rocks you're trying to work on, if you're using, say, that EOS model, those goals stay visible. If it's a milestone goal, you're using those milestones, a checklist to track progress. If it's a metric goal, you can pull in numbers from other systems, right, to see what you want. When the review time comes, the form is just a recap of all that work. There's no backfilling, there's no trying to remembering, there's no surprises. This is how you build a culture of performance: frequent conversations, clear goals, and simple follow-through. So let's take a look at this in action. Here's the roadmap I'm going to try to follow for the demo, but I'm probably going to wander around a little bit. And I am going to show you a little bit that's under development right now that should be out in about the next month. So we're going to do that under a safe harbor statement. We're going to start with the form because that's what most of you ask about. I typically don't like to focus on the form because for me, as I mentioned, the form is an artifact of a whole process. But I am going to start with the form because I think a lot of you out there are like, what's the form like? We need a form. And if you're doing reviews, say in December, the odds are I can have your form up and running to do your review now, but web-based in 249 languages, yada, 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 in a day or less, half a day. So we're going to start with the form. Then we're going to shift to all the work that happens between the reviews. That's one-on-ones. That's feedback. That's goals. Then I'm going to share some dashboards and some team views, and then we're going to talk about administration and integration. So we'll finish by showing how we connect to Sage HRMS or really any HR platform. Maybe I'll even show some of the language stuff. I don't know. Here we go. We're going to start with the demo. So a little bit about performance review forms. Unlimited forms, unlimited questions, unlimited sections. You can build a form in minutes. I'm going to do it right now. They're mobile friendly and they're multilingual. So let me go ahead and I'm going to log into miviva. And you can see right off the bat, I have a dashboard, right? Let's just take a minute here to look at the dashboard. So of course it says it's me. If I look at the top, I've got my profile, my team, my organization. In the dashboard, I can see I don't have any one-on-one scheduled coming up. That could be a one-on-one for me with my boss, Brian Delphia, the CEO of Delphia, who's joined us today. Or it could be a one-on-one I'm having with somebody who reports to me. In fact, I'm going to turn off my camera. I'll give you a little bit more screen real estate. I have a place where the most recent feedback I've gotten from anyone in the company, and it's all permission-based, you can decide who can leave feedback. miviva even has a way to capture feedback from outside folks, customers, stakeholders, partners, you'll see that. That's up there. If I have a performance review form assigned, I'm going to see it right here, an organization message right here. Here are my top goals. And I can see right off the bat, I'm working on 4 things. One is green, the other 3 are orange, using a standard, red, orange, green thing. Orange is okay. We're on our way to green, but we're not there yet. And if I have any milestones and stuff, they show up here. But I do want to show you my profile. Here's all my goals in one place. And I can filter them down to goals that are, that I'm currently working on. They're in progress, or goals that I have completed, or goals that I haven't even started yet, right? We also really like to pay attention to contributing goals. Now, in this case, I don't have any, but this could be a goal someone else owns, but I contribute to. And think about your organization. You might have some folks, typically I think of, say, Tony, our graphic artist. Unless we're changing a whole new brand or something, Tony may not have a whole goal that he owns, but he may have a goal that he contributes to. Like I have a goal to give so many presentations. Tony has an item in each one of those because he has to do our corporate look and feel. Do you value your contributors, people who contribute to the success of others, as much as you value folks who own individual goals? miviva lets you really look at both. All my one-on-ones are here, and I can look at them as those that I've had as an employee with Brian, my manager, or as a coach with all my folks. And then I can bring one up and I can see the summary and the agenda and all that sort of stuff. All my action items are in one place, my performance reviews are in one place, feedback, and my job. So here I have my job title, the summary, a list of duties, pay attention to those, a list of KSAs, check those out, we're going to come back to that, education, experience, visual requirements, things like that. Where did all this come from? Oh, in my organization. So here I've got organizational goals, our mission, our vision, and our values. I used to work for Bell Labs, and we used to have a big thing about your United Way contribution. They'd have a big thermometer in the lobby and HR would be coloring it in. That's an organizational goal. Today in 2025, we don't have a poster board in the lobby. We put it on the web, we put it in miviva. And here's my team dashboard. Look at these metrics, 0%. Now this is all fake data, right? Dummy data. 0% of my team have had a one-on-one in the past 30 days. I haven't given anyone in my team feedback. I haven't left any notes for anyone in my team, and all of our assignments are red. I didn't have time to change that, the dates here to make them all look green. But I've got a dashboard about my whole team, and I can even drill in and look at individual folks on my team and see what's going on their dashboard. So when I'm having a team meeting, don't make this the agenda, the seating chart. Bring up the team dashboard and go through the goals based on priority. Go through the milestones based on priority. Now, where's some of this come from? Well, as an example, jobs. You can import all your jobs, and when you import a job, I don't know if I have data underneath this one, I'm going to find out, but you've got a title, a code, you can categorize them, a summary, education and experience, physical requirements, the KSAs, and when was it last visited. Same with job duties. They're all here in one list. Same with KSAs. You can import these from a spreadsheet, you can add them by hand. But what I want to do is start by making a review form. So let's dive in here and go to reviews, and let's create a brand new review form. So first thing I have to do is give it a name. Let's call it the 2025 end of year review. That's pretty easy. So it's got a title. I'll make it active. That means we could assign it to folks. By default, it has an attestation and signature block. You can change that. Now you can add sections, unlimited number of sections. So let's start. I'm going to add a section. We'll call it a header. A header is really just got a title. And if you want, it's got paragraphs under it. I'm just going to put a header that says creating culture of performance, and I'm going to put a little description. So you could imagine this could be instructions, this could be a word from your leadership team, anything you want. Okay, that was pretty easy. What should we do next? How about another section, but I'm going to pull in information about the person's job. I'm going to put in a title. Let's call it job expectation, responsibilities and expectations. Now check out these questions. If you don't have job descriptions and job duties, no worries, you can still use miviva. If you put this section in there, it'll just be blank. But if you have job duties, job descriptions, and you assign them to people, if you put this section in, you could say, well, in this section, I'd like one question, a question for each job duty. Now, remember when we looked at my dashboard, let's see if I can go bring it up in another window. Let me see if I get that right. When we looked at my profile and we looked at my job, do you see I have 4 job duties right here? So if I say a question for each duty, in this section, I'm going to end up with 4 questions. But if you assign this form to another employee and they have 3 duties, they'll get 3. Someone else has 7, they'll get 7. You could say, no, just give me one question that lists all the duties in one thing. Or how about just one question for the job description? Remember, I have a job description right up here. Or you could say, how about a question for each duty and a question for the description, or just one question that's got the duty and the description all combined. I think I'm going to do a question for each job duty and one for the job description. I do want them to rate these things. I'm going to make this whole section worth about 20%. And now I can choose the rating scale. You can have as many as you'd like. If you want to use bars, behaviorally anchored rating scales, and customize the scale based on the questions, you can do that too. So there I have my first section. I've got a whole section here live about the person's job and their job duties. Let's do the same thing about KSAs. So I'm going to give it a heading. You can call it anything you want. And you can have multiple, like we could have had 2 or 3 sections that pulled from the job, and one could have been the duties, one could have been the description. In this case, I'm going to do KSAs. I could do one question for each job-related KSA. Remember, I've got those right here. I've got 3 KSAs tied to my job. So I could say I want one for each. I'll end up with 3 questions. One just for all of them combined. Let's do that in this case. Let's just be different and do that one. I'm going to put a rating scale on here. I'm going to make that worth 20%, and I'm going to use just a numeric scale. What about organizational values? And remember, we have our organization here, and miviva knows our organizational values are teamwork, quality, safety, and so on. So I'm going to put in values. I'm going to call it Live in Our Values. And I could do, again, a question for each value just based on values tied to goals or values tied to the organizational values. I could do 2 or 3 sections. One could say organizational values here, and I use this. Another one could say goal values or values exhibited while you worked on goals, and do this. No limit to the number of sections. Let's give this a rating too, and let's make this worth, I don't know, 10%. I'll do a numeric one here too. And how about we add another section about goals? Now, goals, let's do one on organizational goals. I know some folks out there have organizational goals, and they say, yeah, you know, that's 5% of everybody's review. Okay, we can do that. Let's throw that in there. Let's do another section and call it your goals. And we're going to give it the goals that were assigned to that employee. And let's make that, I don't know, 15%. Now, some of you would say, okay, well, I'm never going to have job descriptions. We don't have KSAs. We don't have organizational values. We don't have goals. We just have questions. Everybody has just questions. Okay, miviva has that. They're called custom, right? And so you can build a section with custom questions. I'd like to put a question in here about your manager to employee relationship. And you can have as many questions in the section as you want. I'm just going to add one. Basically, how effectively do you and your manager work together? And I'm going to add another little paragraph here to explain what I mean. I'm not going to let them rate it. It's not going to be part of the overall weight on the form. I think that's fine. And now I can rearrange this, right? So I think goals should probably be maybe right after your job. Why don't we do the heading, your job, your goals? How about we do the organizational goals way up top? Let's do that. Organizational goals, job, your goals, KSAs, organizational values, and then that wrap-up question. I'm all done. This template is done. So let's go ahead and assign it to some folks. And you know, I'm going to assign it to myself so you can see what it's like. I'm going to assign it to someone else too. Let's say Stephanie. And now I choose which template that I want to use. I'll use that one, the one we just built. I'm going to make, Brian Delphia, the final reviewer. And if you want self-reviews, you can do that as well. If you want to put a deadline when this has to be done, you put it right here. We could send them emails to say, hey, your review's now live, and hit add. Let's look at my profile now. When I first log in my dashboard, look at this, my performance review. If you click it, here's that review form. Do you remember our heading, creating a culture of performance? Remember this section with the organizational goals? Here they are, and I can rate each one, right? Here's my job responsibilities. And we said one question for each duty, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one for your whole job description. And there's the job description. We also had individual goals. Here are my 3 individual goals. And when I build a goal, I can say whether or not it should show up on the review form. Here's my KSAs. Remember we said, just give me one question that had all the KSAs together, and here they are. We could have broke it up into separate ones if we want. Here's our company values. And then lastly, we have that custom question that we put in. So you can see how this looks like for me, and there's my self-assessment. I could come in here anytime now and start putting in some notes, putting in some comments. If you think about it, when you went to school, the beginning of the semester, the beginning of the first day of class, you probably got the syllabus. You knew what was expected of you. There would be 3 quizzes, 2 papers, 1 project. Why do we not let people see their review form till June or December? Why do we not at the beginning of the year say, here's your review form? And in fact, it's live, it's open right now. So that if you as an employee or you as a manager want to go in, or multi-reviewers, we can have as many folks contribute to it as you want. Some people call it 360 reviews. Why not let it be up there all the time so that people can go in and be working on it not just the night before the thing is due. Let them go in and work on it and change and add comments. And, you know, here's your bars. If you've got bars, we're going to explain what the numbers mean over here. So this is what my form looks like. Now I have extra permissions so that I have permissions here as an admin. I can see everybody's stuff. But let's go look at Stephanie's. Stephanie has the same organizational goals. Obviously, we're in the same company, but totally different job duties, different number of them, different list of them. Her goals are different. Her KSAs are different. Living the values are the same. We said put the organizational values, and there's our default, you know, question, the custom question. And Steph can be working on her self-assessment, like throughout whatever period of time you want. So that's what a review form looks like in Miviva. Unlimited number of these forms. You could do a 30-day review, 60-day review, 90-day review, mid-year review, end-of-the-year review. Unlimited number of sections. Sections can be dynamic and include content about goals, KSAs, jobs. It takes minutes to build them. You saw how I did it there. And let's see if we can make this work. You know, I didn't practice this, which is always a mistake, right? When you're doing a demo, you should practice. But I can go up here and say translate, and I'm not sure why I decided Icelandic, but there's this review ready to go in Icelandic, if that's really what you want to do your review in. And of course, you have all the languages, 249 of them, that are supported by Google, right? So it works on your mobile device, works on your tablet, works in any number of languages. Next, let's talk a little bit about the heartbeat of performance management. We got the review done, the reform's there, we could use it today, we're all done. But performance management really happens in the space between the reviews. So let's talk about one-on-ones. I'm going to go ahead and start a one-on-one. I really want to talk to Brian, and I don't have one planned. So I'm going to add a one-on-one. And I've been having trouble with my mouse. There we go. And I'm going to say it's for Brian to have a one-on-one with me. And we're actually going to do it live during this demo, if you will. So I'm going to go ahead and say, you know, it's happening at 3:30 today, and we're going to use Teams. Now look at this rollover topic. What Miviva did was look at the last one-on-one I had with Brian, and if there were any topics that I didn't check off as complete, it rolled them over to this one. I could delete if I want, but I'm going to keep it. And I'm going to send Brian an email notification to say, hey, Brian, I want to have a one-on-one. So there's my built-in topic. It happens to be a KSA. See how the bullet is labeled there, KSA? But I would like to add a couple other topics here. So one of them here is I want to add a topic, and I'm going to just create my own, just type something in, and it's November outages. I have a lot of time off coming in November, and I have a lot of business travel. So I want to talk to him about that. I'm going to open this up right now and put a comment. I have lots of in-person training speaking gigs and some PTO coming up. I want to give you a heads up. Now, if I want, I could ask AI to help improve this response. AI is going to go out and look at my job description and my title and see if it can tie anything in there. What I like about our AI, and we have 2 patents pending on this right now, it gives me instructions as a manager. Why did it do what it did? So it said this revision maintains the original intent while adding a little bit of appreciation and clarity. It emphasizes awareness of responsibilities and the importance of communication in a collaborative environment. That's one of our company values. So this AI model is closed, but it does know your organization's mission, vision, values, job descriptions, you name it. Now, I can make this public, publish it. It's not public to the world, but it means that Brian can see this comment, right, before we even meet. Or I could save it as a draft. It's just I would see it. I'm going to save it and publish it. And let's see, I'd like to add one other topic, and I really want to do something about self-development. So I'm going to go here to one of our KSAs, I think under knowledge, or maybe it's skills. I'm trying to think of where I had my self-development kind of thing. I'm going to put in here problem analysis, right? Because I really would like to take a class. Oh no, in fact, you know what? I'm going to get rid of this so I can edit these things. I'm going to put that under self-development. I really want to take a class on HR analytics. I found one on Udemy. See the attachments. What are your thoughts? So I'm going to go ahead and make this public or published. In other words, Brian can see it. And I'm going to add a link over here as an attachment. HR Analytics class on Udemy. And I'll post that link. You can also add attachments. So I have a PDF here of the actual curriculum for that class. I'm going to add that as well. So that's all done. Now remember, Brian got an email saying, hey, Joe is trying to schedule a one-on-one with you. Let's switch over, and Brian, can we look at it from your point of view? What's going on in your end of the world when you log into miviva?
Absolutely. Well, I got an email from Joe, and I also can see now when I look at my dashboard, my next one-on-one is Joe. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to click on the view agenda, and I see exactly what he was seeing a few moments ago. But I think I want to add a few more agenda topics. So I go out here to choose topics, and I want to get into the realm of coaching. So let's talk about career. Where does he see himself in 1, 3, or 5 years?
So miviva has hundreds of topics built in, and those topics are appropriate based on your point of view. Are you the manager or the employee? Sometimes it even adds the starter comment, the initial conversation starter. That's what Brian's choosing there in that choose topics. What are you adding now?
Well, you've got this handbook that's been almost done, but it's sort of dragging out and it's due. So, well, it's due at the end of the year. We need to get it out. It's part of our SOC requirement.
So another item you can add to an agenda is talk about somebody's goals. And you can see there, it's marked 67%.
And then finally, let's talk about some values about teamwork. All right. So this goal for publishing the handbook, that's really important. So I sort of want to make that the first item on our agenda. So we'll talk about this first. And I want to put in some notes or comments about my particular goals. So the first one I'm going to do is add a comment in here for Joe about his where does he see himself. So just paste that in. And when I save this, I have the ability to save it just for me, but I want him to look at it. Hopefully he'll look at this before the meeting and think about it. So I'll publish it so it is available for Joe to see. And then on teamwork, I want to add some clarity as to why I added that topic. So I'll just come in here and I'll add a comment, and again, make it so that Joe can see that. And so Joe, I've done my piece. A little bit of time has elapsed. Hopefully you've thought about my comments. So are you ready to do your one-on-one with me?
Yeah, and I want to show folks from my viewpoint, if I log in now, or if I'm in miviva and I go look at that one-on-one agenda, I can see the items that Brian added. I can see he rearranged the order, and I can look underneath here and see where he published any comments. So what I find with my own team is that we go back and forth on the agenda collaboratively and even discuss it before we even meet face-to-face, back and forth using these comments, and it's all inside of miviva. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our one-on-one, Brian.
All righty, well.
So that first one, look at that publish updated handbook. It's a goal, it shows the current status, 67%, and it's in progress, it's a milestone goal. So if Brian clicks on that in progress, we're gonna actually see what that goal looks like, and it'll be your first exposure to a goal in miviva. So this is a milestone goal. Milestone goals are like checklists. There's the list of what needs to be done. And we can see the start and end date on the left-hand side. It's a high priority, and it's not going to show up on my review form, though. It says reviewable as no. And here, Brian, I actually have everything done. I think we just need to present it to the whole company. So I'll add a comment here. What do you think if we just do an all-hands-on meeting like the week before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that's great. Put that in there. And
so I'm putting in my comment, and you'll see why it's worth taking a minute to actually document your conversation. I went ahead and put in a comment like that, and now Brian would see that same comment on his screen.
And I'll just say I agree with November, and if I just
make sure you hit save and publish.
Oh, I darn it, thank you. Which one was I on?
Publish the handbook.
Yeah. Just say looks good or sounds good. Sounds better. Save and publish. Now, if Joe refreshes, he'll see that on his screen. I just refreshed for whatever reason. So here it is. All right, what's next on our list, Joe? Self-development. So
I found a Udemy class on HR analytics that looks great. So I was interested in taking that. I think it's like $9. You know, Udemy's cheap.
Okay, so I'm going to just say perfect. Thanks for finding this. All right, so that's great. Your November averages. Thanks for the heads up. Now I'm typing right now, but when I really do this with Joe, I use a microphone and I don't type.
But you can't use the mic and Teams and go to it once. They all argue over who has the mic. So that doesn't work.
Well, looks like we're on a similar time frame here, Joe. So that's cool. And the 3 to 5 years. Well, I added 2 comments here. You didn't comment. I thought you were going to comment on that one.
I did. I just didn't.
Oh, I have to refresh.
Time. I didn't get it into time. I'm thinking I'm 61. At 64, we'll just start a phased approach. I'm not going to go from 40 hours to 0. I actually 60 hours to 0.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I'm not even going to comment because I'm closer to that age than you are. On teamwork, what did you have? Oh, I think this is great. Yeah, let's do that. This is a wait. No, that's not.
So I'm going to say, let's meet with all 3 team heads and discuss. Brian, why don't you give me an action item to set up a cross-team meeting?
So we can come down here and put an action item out here, and I can and I can add more comments to that, but I just, for expediency, say okay. And then that's not due today. I'll give you a little bit of time. You got to get it done before the end of the month.
You're so kind.
I'm so kind. And then the other thing is on your self-development, I really wanted to actually do a different comment. So I'm going to delete that comment. If I go in here, right, you might have seen this enhance your response. Joe's shown it to you once. Notice I've got typos. Is normally how I really type. So if I enhance my response, see what it's doing here. It says the message was enhanced for clarity and warmth while maintaining the original intent. It adds enthusiasm, positivity, it's more engaging, and so it just tells the manager why it changed my words to be something more appropriate. So I will definitely save that. And I think we're good, Joe. Do you?
Why don't you check off some of those items real quick, and then we have to move on to our next topic once you complete. So what do you think we finished?
Well, November outages, I've got that. You're going to do that. I'll follow up with it. We'll just do one. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this. And while it's thinking, I can add comments for myself, and I can add comments for feedback for Joe and comments for myself that Joe won't see, right? So what's interesting here is if I just go in and say, which is really sort of a lame comment, you've done very well, taking back to old Mr. Grace on are you being served. Now, if I enhance this, it's not going to just look at what I just typed in. It's going to look at all of the information that we actually documented in the one-on-one. And look what it does. You've done an excellent job, Joe, particularly it goes on. Well, you know what? Maybe I don't think Joe did such a great job. Maybe I want to make it a little bit more neutral, right? So I can restore my feedback, and I'm just going to sit. I'm going to say you've not done well. So you can change the tone of the feedback with just a couple of word choices, and you can iterate on it if you don't like it. So here you're going to see it's a little bit less praising of Joe. It's not going to have the "you've done a great job, you're fabulous," all these things, which, you know, if you're concerned about maybe somebody's going to be on a PIP plan, you may not want to have this saying "you're wonderful" while your other system or process is saying "hey, you got a problem here." All right, Joe, I'm going to go ahead and just come down here and save, and that one-on-one is now done.
And remember, AI there is using the mission, vision, values, your job description, all the notes that were taken in that agenda to help write that up. The other thing that's key for building a culture of performance is feedback that moves the whole needle forward. And feedback can happen anytime. So I'm going to go in here and create some feedback, right? I'm going to go over here and let's see, I'm going to go maybe find one of my team members, Ellen Woods. And if I come in here and say, I want to leave some feedback, well, let's see. I don't think I have the permissions here. I'm gonna have to log out real quick. I have to log into somebody who has permissions. So all of this is permission based. You can decide who has permissions to do what. But if I had the right permissions, I can go in here and just leave feedback for someone at any time. I'm gonna actually do it in our real Delphia site because I know I have permission to leave feedback there. I'm gonna create feedback. Now check this out. Who is this feedback about? Well, actually right now behind the scenes, Laura Harper is making all this work. So I can say Laura, and then I can associate that feedback with a goal that she has, a job duty, her job description, a company value. I'm going to do it as part of her job description, pull in her marketing manager job description. If we had feedback from someone outside the organization, I can toggle it. Was it from a customer, a partner, a stakeholder? And then I can say who it was. But in this case, it's internally. Laura manages to coordinate every aspect of our webinars and does an amazing job. Works great across all our teams. Thank you. If I ask AI to enhance this, AI is going to try to connect the dots for me between her job description, mission, vision, values, and it's going to use the SBIN model. It's going to describe the situation, the behavior I saw, the impact it had, and what I would like to see her do next. So I want to acknowledge the coordination you've done. It ensures that things run smoothly. Going forward, this is what I'd like to see, and here's been the impact. So our AI model, which again has 2 patents pending, is helping train managers how to leave better feedback. And then I can decide, should this feedback be public? Anybody who can get to Laura's dashboard could see that feedback. Or do I want to restrict it? By default, it's her manager, and which is me and Laura, but I could add other folks. I could say, well, Brian Delphia should be able to see this and so on. This is great though. I think the whole company should be able to see it. So there's an example of that positive feedback. Feedback doesn't have to be just negative. Feedback should be all the time, good, constructive, and positive. And you should be able to tie it to that person's job, their job duties, their goals, you name it. Let AI help you refine the tone and clarify. And then you've seen a little bit about goals, and Miviva has 2 types of goals, so I want to show you what those are. Let's go back here. If I go back and log in as me this time, back to my dashboard, you can see some of my goals right here. Here, this conduct analysis, this is a milestone goal. So it's like a checklist. You can add a description, people can add comments back and forth. It's kind of like a Facebook pages to a person. This is a milestone goal, same sort of concept, or a metric goal. So this is a dial, and in this case, I've set up how it should be colored. This is turnover ratio. This data is coming right from Sage HRMS. Miviva has an API that you can pull in metric data from your ERP, your CRM, you name it, a trouble ticketing system. You could add metric data by hand. You could type it in. You can upload a spreadsheet, or you can use an API and let it update, whatever makes you happy every 15 minutes. The key here is that metrics are showing near real-time results from any system. Think about your GPS in the car. Most people don't just turn off the map and listen to what it says. People want to see, how am I doing right now? Where am I right now compared to where the destination is? That's exactly what goals do. They let you see where you are now, what's checked off, what's not. Where's the dial? Where does the dial turn green? Every goal has an owner, it can have contributors, it can have weights, and it can automatically flow into your review form. It's this kind of data that drives your conversations, and you've seen some of that data right here in Miviva. So I showed you an example here as a goal. We also have reports. Let's take a look at one-on-one reports. I'm going to look at it, missing one-on-ones for this date range. Boom. I can tell which managers are and which managers are not having one-on-ones with their folks. And we've got the same kind of data for one-on-ones. We've got it about leaving feedback. We've got it about goals. The cool thing is you can base Miviva metric goals, quantifiable goals, against this data. So instead of just saying, managers, I want you all to have one-on-ones with about 80% of your people once a month, as an example, make them have a goal. Have 80% coverage of your team with one-on-ones within a 30-day window. And let Miviva look at its own data to drive the dial on that goal. And in that case, the goal can even show up right here on a team dashboard. This is fake data. I'm terrible, I haven't had any, but if we went and looked at my real team, let's see what it says. 80% of my team have had a one-on-one in the past 30 days. 80% have had feedback, and I've left notes for myself to 60%. And as a team, 10% of our action items and our milestones are late. So what we're trying to do is track one-on-ones and feedback and goals and reviews to help reinforce accountability to build that culture of performance. We want to use it to spot trends in coaching and engagement, to identify strengths and where we could do better, right? And of course, it's all available in reports. Now, in this case, how did we get all our employees and everything in there? Well, Miviva connects seamlessly and securely to Sage HRMS using an API. That means it can automatically use data from a slew of different HRIS to pull in employee records, job titles, reporting relationships. In Sage HRMS, you might know it as P levels, that's your organizational levels, without you having to maintain two different systems. You add a new employee in HRMS, they're going to flow right over to Miviva. You end up terminating, making an employee that no longer active in HRMS, same thing is going to happen in Miviva. You can import jobs and categories with one click. And Miviva keeps your organization structure in sync when you make changes in HRMS. This eliminates duplicate entry and ensures everyone's working from the same accurate single point of truth spot. So instead of spending time managing spreadsheets, HR can focus on coaching managers and developing talent. Now, I want to show you one little thing here behind the scenes. This is under Safe Harbor. This could change. This is the review form now that's under development, should be out in a week. So this could change without notice. That's our Safe Harbor statement. Remember you saw where we put in, for example, the goal and we had the rating scale. You saw the additional information. Now go on the performance review. It pulls in all the feedback and all the comments. And it pulls in any notes a manager made against that goal. And it does it the same for all the different fields you saw in Miviva. So now throughout the year, if you get feedback for someone and you tie it to the right thing, if a manager leaves notes and they tie it to something, it flows right into the review form. And remember, we're known for our work with AI in the performance management space. We have 2 patents pending for that, 4 more of them written, ready to go. How do you think AI could handle looking at the whole organization, all the feedback, all the comments, all the notes, all the goals, where everybody stands, what their ratings are? Think about the insights AI could give you towards your organization to help you actually improve performance. You don't want to be in that 14% are inspired to improve. We want to move that number up. And all of this is happening in a secure, scalable environment. Behind the scenes, Miviva runs on Amazon Web Services, the same infrastructure that's trusted by Sage and thousands of enterprise applications around the world. That gives you reliable uptime, world-class security, and data encryption. Because it's cloud-based, there are no upgrades to install, no patches to maintain. You're always on the latest version automatically. And our agile development process means you'll see continuous improvements every few weeks. We add features, refine workflows, and respond to client requests, usually within a week or two, all without disrupting your day-to-day work. It's a secure, scalable foundation that keeps getting smarter over time. So now I have a question for you. We've got another little poll. Where could Miviva have the biggest impact in your organization? Did it help you modernize your performance review form? Were you one of those, I've got spreadsheets and it's kind of chaos? And I know one of my folks out there, you all got an email from me saying, hey, send me samples of your review forms. And some of you did. And I saw some of you had lists of job duties. Do you build that form for every job with the unique duties? That's craziness. If you have job descriptions, add them to Miviva. You build one template and say, go dynamically create the form based on that person's job. Now every person has a form that really speaks to them with their own job duties, right? Or could it help you have better one-on-ones, which would give you better coaching habits? Could it give you better management performance insights, right? Don't guess, are my managers having one-on-ones? Are they leaving feedback? Is the feedback good? You know, getting feedback that just says, great job, good job. That's not good feedback. Feedback really has to describe the situation, not the person, the behavior that it saw, the impact it had, and what you would like them to do going forward or stop doing if it's constructive feedback. AI can help you analyze all that because now it's all in Miviva. Or maybe it would help you drive results, and that would impact your bottom line performance or all of the above. So Maria has a question. Is there a feature in this platform that allows users to recognize or acknowledge when a coworker has helped them reach a goal or milestone? For example, could there be a question like, did anyone in the organization help you get to this point? I'm looking for a way to track and highlight how employees are supporting one another. Great question, Maria. You could actually do it several different ways. As an example, I don't know if I have this in here. Let's look at this particular goal. Let's say that this is a goal, a checklist goal to develop a leadership training program. If I go ahead and edit the goal, I can say that other people are supposed to help contribute on this goal. And I can list as many other folks are contributors. Now they're going to show up on this goal as being contributors to this goal, right? So they're going to have a whole section down here to say who else is working on this goal. If you want, you can even give them specific milestones. So we could say, do this and that. And we can pick any of the contributors. So that's another way that you could actually highlight multiple people working on the same goal. When you do a performance review, they could show up as having goals that they are contributors on, if you want to push it all the way to the review form. Or when you go ahead and leave feedback, remember when you leave feedback, anybody in the organization based on permissions can leave feedback for anyone else, and then they could tie it to a goal or something. So that would get highlighted, that could get spotlighted. So you could even see where did people get feedback from someone beside their manager. In fact, remember we said that feedback even could come from someone outside the organization. So great question. I think there's actually several places where you could have that impact. Let's see at the share here. Wow, none of you said it could help modernize your review form. I thought some of you might, but 60% said all of the above. That's okay. Because remember, now your review form, in fact, your whole user interface is in 249 languages. Better one-on-ones, I think, is the key, because the phrase I use all the time now is that performance management happens in the space between reviews. And then definitely providing performance management, providing management with performance insights, And especially AI is very good at analyzing large data sets. That's going to rock your world. And the big one, driving results. So, see if I can get back to my original windows here. Talked about the poll. What about implementation? Well, it's fast implementation, right? One of the biggest things we hear is, how hard is this going to be to roll out? The truth is, miviva is built for speed, and you could be live in as little as a day. You can handle setup yourself, or we can walk right alongside you, whichever approach fits your team. And we offer training for managers and HR, plus adoption plans that match your culture and your communication style. You don't have job descriptions? No worries. Start with the form. You don't even want a form? Start with one-on-ones. We always say start anywhere, go anywhere. And the partnership doesn't end at go live. We stay with you through updates, new releases, and strategy conversations, making sure performance management continues to grow with your organization. That's what makes miviva more than just software. So what I'd love for you to take away, remember just these few things. Performance isn't once a year or twice a year, mid-year, end-of-year review. It's an everyday conversation. And with miviva, HR gets transparency, managers get tools that make coaching easier, and employees get clarity, and clarity is kindness about where they stand and how to grow. Everything connects. Goals, one-on-ones, feedback, and reviews, all in one place that integrates cleanly with Sage HRMS. It's secure, simple, and ready to scale with you. So I want to take a quick poll before we wrap up with just 2 invites for you and see what part of this would make the biggest impact for you. Would you like to continue the conversation? So if you'd like to talk more about your world, I'd love to see your performance review forms. I'd love to talk about your process. We can even see what it would look like in miviva. Give me enough of your info, I'll mock it up. Well, not mock it up, it'll be a real system. So I'll put it in miviva and say, hey, let's see what your review form would look like. Let's see what your job descriptions would look like. Let's see how it goes. We also have trial accounts for folks. We can do that as well. So if you'd like me to reach out and talk about how you could create a culture of performance in your world, just let me know. I'm happy to reach out. There's no obligation, no pressure, right? It's all about answering your questions and seeing what you got. And if you share stuff with me in advance, I know that conversation could, even be more specific rather than generic like today's webinar is. But I'm going to close out this poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now remember, this is a series, and we have 2 more webinars left in the series. Coming up on November 11th, we have analytics with HR Analytics. And then on December 2nd, we have alerts and workflow. So we're going to pop up a quick poll here. If you'd like us to register you for either or both of these, just check whatever you'd like. Then Sage will add you to these webinars to the GoTo platform. GoTo will send you an email with your unique connection URL. You'll get a reminder as well, and you'll be all set. So if you would like us to add you to any of these upcoming webinars, just let us know and we will do that. And of course, if you download the PDF, and we'll also be sending you that PDF, those links where it says here, right there, those are live. You can always share this with others. You can click those and you can get yourself registered. So I'm going to give you just another couple seconds to see if anybody else wants us to register them for these upcoming events. And then I'm going to close out this poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I appreciate you giving us an hour of your time today to join us for episode 5 in our series. And remember, this series is all about smart tools, smarter workflows. Sage HRMS and its ecosystem are ready to help you get more done with less effort. Thanks to you for giving us an hour of your time today. I hope you'll check out the recordings of the previous episodes. I hope to see you at a future event. I'd love to join your professional network on LinkedIn. I tried to invite everybody to connect with me, but if I missed you, just send me an invite. Thanks to Brian Delphia for joining me today and the team at Sage for making the webinar happen. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and bye for now.